Hello and welcome to the Spark Change podcast. I'm Denise Miller. I'm the Firesteel Advocacy Coordinator, and Firesteel is a network of Washington YWCAs committed to ending family homelessness through innovative advocacy.
Morning, Denise. I'm Erin Murphy, the Director of Community Engagement for the YWCA Seattle King Snohomish.
And today we're talking about Thunderclap, which is a tool for sending a whole lot of simultaneous messages from many people's social media accounts. So Thunderclap, this tool, they say that you should think of it as an online flash mob because everyone all of a sudden is bursting into the same dance but online. They also say that you can think of it as crowd speaking. So you've heard of crowdfunding and crowdsourcing, and so now this is crowd speaking. This is getting a lot of people to share your message at the same time.
Yeah. And there's a number of organizations that have used it so far. Denise and I haven't actually run sort of our own campaign with Thunderclap yet, but we've seen plenty of others who have.
Yeah, so there was one, for example, that was Get Covered America, which was a nonprofit that was meant to support the movement to get people insured before the deadline this past year. So they set up a Thunderclap. Basically, the whole goal of that was just to remind people and urge them to get health insurance before the deadline, which was December 23rd. So they came up with a couple of hashtags, Get Covered and December or DEC 23. And I think they reached a lot of people. There was another one from a smaller group called Water Aid UK, and they actually only had like 700 followers on Facebook, but they really wanted to make a big impact across the internet, and so they used Thunderclap. And I think their reach was like in the hundreds of thousands with this campaign. Nice. And they did a lot of work ahead of time promoting it. They created some special images to try to get people just to go sign on to be part of the Thunderclap. But it seemed like it was a really huge success for them. I found a case study, and just as a result of this, they more than doubled their Facebook following.
Whoa!
So yeah, so good for them. And even the UN has used this. So they used it to promote their World Humanitarian Day, which maybe a lot of people hadn't heard of before Beyonce decided to support it. They had some other high-octane tweeters like Justin Bieber and Rihanna and Lady Gaga, so that doesn't hurt. But they actually reached more than 1 billion people around the world using this tool, so that's pretty awesome.
That was impressive. Well, you and I recently used it, and so I just wanted to share a little bit about our user experience. So another YWCA coworker reached out to us to let us know that one of the organizations and campaigns that they were following was organizing a Thunderclap, and it was the first that I had really heard of it, so I was excited to test it out as a user. And it was really, really easy. We basically just clicked on a link embedded in an email, and it took us right to this landing page. I agreed to let it access my Twitter account, and it was really simply explained. It just said if I kind of accepted this agreement, this is the message that it would send out at this time on this specific day along with everybody else who signed up at that exact time. I had the option to edit it if I wanted to. I personally didn't choose to do that, but I really like when I can use my own voice if I want to. So once I gave it permission to access my Twitter account, I pretty much forgot about it, which it went out. I remembered to look for it later, and sure enough, it was right there on my news feed. And it was pretty cool because how many times has it happened to you where you read or see something really powerful and you think, ooh, I need to do that, and then if you don't do it immediately on the spot or write down a note to remember it, like you just forget about it. And so this was a really fantastic way for me to just I think it was maybe 3 clicks total, something like that. It was actually okay for me to then forget about it. So that was very cool. I think there are also options to use your Facebook or Tumblr account if you would like to have the post go out on those spaces rather than Twitter. So there are options.
Yeah, so I agree with Erin. It was really, really easy to use it just from the user's perspective, someone
Mm-hmm.
participating in the crowd speak movement.
Mm-hmm.
But it also seems really easy from the organizer's perspective. I went through the steps just to see what it was like and how hard would it be to actually to get one going. And it
Mm-hmm.
seems really simple. For one thing, it's free, which is nice. Yeah, that's the basic service.
Non-profit speak.
Yeah, right.
We always appreciate that. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's the basic service. And then if you want to, add additional features like making a really beautifully customized campaign landing page or accessing their analytics tools, you can pay, there's a whole scale of different options that you can add on, and the most you would pay for a campaign is $500. But at every level, even the free level, you can have an unlimited number of people who participate in the Thunderclap. So that's a nice feature. So when you go to set up a campaign, you sign in through Facebook, Twitter, or Tumblr. Mm-hmm. You create a really basic profile and campaign, and as you sign up, like it kind of guides you through all the steps. So it'll say, here, write 1 to 2 sentences about your campaign, write 1 to 2 sentences about yourself, write, a message up to 140 characters. That's going to be the one that you'll invite people to post. They recommend, and I would recommend, just keeping it really simple and making your message really clear. So do you want people to visit a donate page? Do you want them to visit your recently launched website? Do you want them to watch a video or sign a petition or call a legislator? Whatever it is, just make it really clear so people know exactly what they're signing on for. And I would recommend trying to include a hashtag. That way you would have a really good chance of getting it trending, which is, sort of a fun goal with any online campaign. And then include links, of course, to, whatever site you want them to visit. So they also ask you to choose an end date for the campaign. 2 to 3 weeks is recommended, but of course that depends on, what your deadlines are and what your campaign looks like. They also require you to choose a supporter goal. So the minimum is 100 people. So 100 people have to sign on at least to send this message out at that chosen moment. Otherwise, they won't go out. So it's kind of like, those crowdfunding pages that we've seen, like you have to hit a minimum goal of dollars raised. But you get to choose it. 100's the lowest. And so obviously you want to promote, right, ahead of Thunderclap. And they actually have a lot of, like a really nice guide, some resources on the Thunderclap website. We'll link to that on the blog post for this podcast. So you can visit that, and they just give you some really good ideas for promoting it across social media platforms and, email, and trying to build excitement around your campaign.
Yeah, and I think it's important to think of both online promotion, but then think of opportunities for offline. So I'm excited to think about next year for the legislative session, maybe during our lobby day, we could coordinate a Thunderclap that maybe our #1 call to action in our social media workshop is for everybody to do this and to put social media sort of know-how and value into play. So it's been fun sort of brainstorming promotion in creative ways too.
Yeah, I was getting really excited about Thunderclap as I was preparing for this podcast.
That's a good sign.
Ooh,
Yeah.
So also, I would say after the Thunderclap, like retweet and repost all of those wonderful posts that people gave you. That was one thing that was missing from the Thunderclap that I participated in. I'm not sure if it was the case for you, Erin, but my post just kind of got crickets.
Right.
So
well,
it
and
would
it's
have been
probably
great.
also why it was easier for me to forget about it. If there had been more of a conversation, it would have been much more visible to me. So yeah.
Totally. So I'd say
Hmm.
like the onus is on the organizers to make sure that that happens.
Yeah, definitely.
And then you'd also want to, of course, thank everyone who participated.
Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah. So there are some downsides, at least one big one to Thunderclap.
Yeah, there are a lot of people who are very hesitant about directly linking any of their social media accounts or just accounts in general to anything else. I think people often have privacy concerns, nervous about what's accessing their information. And so, for people who might have concerns around that, you may not be able to reach a certain group of people. So just being aware of that.
Yeah. Although I will point out that Thunderclap promises that they won't they won't use the all the access that they get when you do your
Right.
Thunderclap for any other purpose other than to post that one single
Right. To
message.
push it through.
Yeah, they
Hmm.
say they aren't, looking at your friends list, they aren't trying to spam it or anything
Hmm.
like that.
Hmm.
So that's what they
Yeah.
say.
Yeah. Yeah.
I will say one other thing for Thunderclap. It definitely
Hmm.
has the most epic name of any tool that
Yeah.
we've talked about,
It is
right?
very dramatic. Oh, well, as always, we like to hear from you, our community. So please tell us, have you ever organized or participated in a crowd speak campaign, whether it's Thunderclap or something like it? What was your experience? Or have you used Thunderclap on the user end? And what were your thoughts? You can share with us by leaving a comment on our website, which is firesteelwa.org, or you can comment on our Facebook page or our YouTube account, or you can always tweet at us at firesteelwa.
Yep, and just a reminder that this podcast is available in video form on YouTube, and it's also an audio podcast on SoundCloud and iTunes. So we highly recommend that you subscribe on iTunes, and then you'll never miss an episode.
So thanks, everyone. I appreciate you joining us. And until next time, keep on advocating.
Onwards.
Yeah.
Bye.